Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the English broadcast of the Chinese LPL. We just saw Team WE pick up game number 1 over OMG, and we're about to get into the second match of this best-of-3 series. Guys, we talked a lot about Zoe, we talked a lot about Shen, but one thing I asked you guys in the pre-game show was, who are Team OMG now? We didn't really get into that, so who exactly are OMG?
Ooh, they're probably thinking about that right now. I would say OMG is Icon. I mean, he's been the mainstay in that team, and it hurts a little bit more because, of course, of how the last game went, but I'd say he has to be the head of them.
No, and that actually makes perfect sense, because when Icon falls over, you see that OMG actually crumbled around him. And I agree with you, Raz. OMG are one of the teams that I'll actually give a bit more leeway to when they bring in new rookies, like they do have in the top lane casual, like Chelly, their new ADC, because they have a track record of their development program making iconic players like Icon. For the longest time, Cool was the center figure of OMG. They decided Cool wasn't the direction that they wanted to go. They not threw away the legacy, but let go of that legacy and built up this new superstar. And we know that Icon can be that. Unfortunately, didn't quite get it last game.
Yeah, it's just a sad face on that one. I love the fact how OMG...
Sad face.
Sad face. I mean, OMG is a team that has, like they have On My Dream, they have a lot of developmental teams on that front. So
they have a very strong coaching staff, too. They're one of the few organizations in the LPL that when the coach and the manager says something, that is what is going to happen.
Yes.
Well, we saw Icon, unfortunately, wasn't able to do too much against the Zoe that was picked up by Sia. And Team WE now have that 4-member strong core. They didn't play Condi in that match. What did we think of Melon's first performance in the LPL?
I mean, he understood his strong point on the map. That's all he really needs to do. Sure, he slipped up a few times, and that's how Lee Sin was able to get a good head into the matchup. But at the end of the day, he noticed CA was going ahead, and he just pretty much warded for him.
Yeah, that was the nice thing, that Shie was really the guy who was leading the charge, that he didn't necessarily need Condi, his partner in crime, to assist him and prop him up. I think when you look at that two duo, Shie really doesn't get a lot of credit. You know, he has a smaller, effective champion pool. He's kind of slow to pick up the meta sometimes. Sometimes when he plays things like, oh, Xerath at All-Stars, it's a bit questionable, but looking very clean on that Zoe and really helping Melon.
Yeah, and I'm the first person to come out and criticize CA because a lot of it was...
Does that make me the second?
Maybe. Perhaps.
Get in line, Raz.
Here we go. All right. Just because of the fact that this was his time to kind of prove himself, because a lot of it was like, is it Condi that makes the matchup?
Really?
Exactly. Is it the mid lane jungle synergy? Is it the team fighting that really makes him? Well, he showed that he can play Zoe incredibly well on his own.
Well, it's probably going to be taken away from him going into this next match. We'll have to see how well Sia plays later on. We're going to send it over to the casters, but first we're going to be taking a look at Icon, who talks a little bit about his biggest improvements coming into this split.
新赛季我最大的进步应该就是能为团队承担更多的责任吧，然后在比赛当中也可以做更多的事情。
Welcome back, guys. Again, apologies for the audio issues. Hopefully, right now, they should be fixed for you as we get into this next game. Now, OMG and WE coming into this second game. I mean, we already went through step 1. Ban Zoe. What's step 2, Rusty?
Step 2 for them is actually play a bit more like a team, or a bit more like OMG specifically, I should say, as a team. Things that you know and love from them, the aggression that you know and love from them is something that was missing in that game. And Icon mentioning in that video that he has more responsibility. Well, he needs to step up and take that responsibility, not just by banning Zoe, but he's the player that we have to watch and look for in this game. To step up to roam, to actually make plays, not just to roam, but maybe win lane instead of roaming if he wants. He has to do something positively, something proactively, or there's really no chance for OMG.
Yeah, and a lot of that will come out from the picks as well, to see if there is roaming champions, maybe unlock the mid lane, like is Icon going to be able to do anything here, instead of just not being able to do anything at all and just getting bottlenecked into a situation they just don't want to be in. So we'll see what they start off the draft with. On the side of Team WE, yes, they won. Is there anything that you would like to see them change for Game 2?
I mean, they just had a Zoe and they won the game because they, like,
yeah,
in my analytical opinion, one champion just did too much for them to get a victory in that game. And what I want to see is how they change things up when they don't have the Zoe, because of course it should not be available. We do also have to wonder which side of the draft they're going to be on, red versus blue side. If you're on red side, then you won't be able to have the Zoe anyway. In fact, you'll probably have to ban it yourself to prevent Icon from having it, as an example.
Yep, you'd have to expect so. Last game, we also saw a priority on Xayah. Xayah came in very, very early. It was jungle and AD carry that came out. So once we finished the draft, I think that's something we're going to see again. Something to try and save like mid and top lane. Of course, they will be on blue side this time, so that will change a little.
Yeah, no, you're right. The draft was even in order very curious from Team WE. High priority on Xayah, not wanting to give that one over, but also knowing that there was an Ezreal. They picked the Xayah as their second rotation, not going for mid, not going for support, instead locking that one in for Mystic. And once again, it shows a confidence that he has on the champion. He is effectively a Xayah main. It's one of his most played champions pretty much ever in the LPL. And so they just have that priority. It also forces a Rakan ban, which is the other curious part from that. The second ban phase then gets bottlenecked from their opponents. So we'll have to see the way that this draft starts to pan out.
So in terms of other mid laners, then to go back to the Zoe topic, what other priorities would we be looking towards? So you're going to have some pretty standard bans, including the Zoe.
Yeah,
Rise.
Tahm Kench and Alistar are always high priority. Ornn is the top laner that's always going to be #1. There's Alawies as counter picks if you go towards a tank early in the top lane as well. I know you know all about that. And then there is the Jarvan, which is the other major one that you have to look at. Every LPL team should be prioritizing that as the #1 jungler of choice if they have it available.
So it's actually WE staying on the red side. So we actually could see a very similar priority as we had last game, apart from the fact that Zoe has been banned. So thank God for that. Kog'Maw has been banned alongside of Malzahar as well. I want to say Vladimir as another ban that we see quite frequently in this meta. Ornn and Alistar. We'll see what the final ban is from WE. It's going to be Camille. So are we missing anything here? Any massive OP picks that I'm forgetting about?
I would not say anything massively OP has been outright let through. There are still the strong champions. You know, Tahm Kench is the priority support that we mentioned with Alistar gone. Kalista, Alistar, usually a strong combo, is now going to be half removed. And then with WE going straight towards this, yes, Kalista is one of the strongest AD carries. I wonder which support they'll go towards for Team WE.
And Jarvan as well into the top lane, of course. Into the jungle role, I should say, picked by the top laner. Classic LPL pick. Sejuani as well. A strong jungler on the current patch. Kalista into the bottom lane for Mystic. Has left up Vladimir. We've still got Vlad, Rise.
Yeah,
likes of those picks.
This is one of the other ones. Of course, Rise is still a good pick in the middle lane for WE if they want to, but OMG may even consider using this as a flex of sorts if they like. Again, Xiang, very good tank player, hasn't really diversified himself into a million types of carries, but keeping it there, keeping options open is always good for a draft phase so that your opponents don't know what it's going to be.
Yep, OMG looking towards their final pick on first phase. It's going to be Ezreal. How could we forget about Ezreal? The Kleptomancy build, so Charlie will get his hands on that one once more. And WE, so they've locked in the AD carry, they've got the jungler. No priority on support just yet, actually locking in a very early Gnar. But to be fair, OMG, I mean, are they really going to pick carry against that? Most likely going to be a tank anyways.
And for WE, that makes the most sense to pick it the top laner here. They get priority pick for support anyway.
Yeah.
And so OMG can't really afford to ban supports out if they want. WE actually get priority. And WE, if they choose, they have gone for Leona here as their first ban. They can also get rid of top laners and just give Gnar the best matchup possible. In saying that, it's still a Gnar, so he's going to have good matchups regardless of that fact.
Yep, back over to OMG, got 10 seconds left on their ban. We'll see if they start looking towards Ben's champion pool as well. No Xayah on this one, but the Kalista has been banned. Azir actually banned into Xie.
Yeah, I think that's a sign of the Vladimir being towards the middle lane as well. Wanting to get rid of champions that will outrange him indefinitely, as WE do, almost as expected.
Maokai ban actually coming out from Team WE. Maybe the fact that 957 realized in the top lane actually couldn't push him out as Gnar. Maokai actually countered laning phase with more farm than the Gnar. So, what else have you got for us, Xiang? Pick another tank.
I would almost want to ban Tahm Kench here if I was OMG to be safe, but with Braum and Tahm Kench available, they can just pick the other one that is remaining. Interesting, they went for the other option opposed to the Tahm Kench ban. I think a lot of what WE have gone for strategically here is by locking in the Kalista, banning away the Leona and the Maokai. In the second ban phase, it says we want to protect the Mystic. That's basically the team composition. We have seen things like Karma Mids, just pointing that out if they wanted to go all in.
Would not be surprising at all if they went for another Protect the Mystic composition. And Tahm Kench would definitely allude towards that as well. As you said, it was either going to be Tahm Kench or Braum if one of them were banned out. Xiang, Shen is still available for him in the top lane, or even if they wanted to put it down to 5 as well. Could also flex the Vladimir, so a lot of flexibility all over the board for them. But I wouldn't be surprised if they just pick up the Shen regardless here and then use a bit more time to think about what they want to come in with their final pick, because that will lock in all of the champions.
Yeah, Shen definitely expected. We still don't know if it's going to be support or top lane. I would expect that it goes towards support, just because you're looking at the matchup that they have down there. But what does Xiang have in the repertoire that he wants to play on the top side of the map? A lot of the strong top laners have been completely removed. Maybe it does end up being the Vladimir after all.
Yeah, it depends if this Rise pick actually goes through, because that would shove the Vlad into the top lane.
Rise is a good pick into Kalista with the W as well, guaranteeing that you lock her down and she can't move for a very prolonged period of time, especially if you've hit them with the E first.
Okay, so we're going under the assumption that there will be Rise in the mid lane unless they try something funky and shove Rise into the top lane. It's theoretically possible. It was a matter of a while back, and I was like, well, there's a good possibility Rise comes back into the top lane. There's a lot of good matchups into the tanks. But Kassadin, the current hover from Team WE.
Knowing his matchup, of course, Xie can look towards an assassin if he chooses, and having the ability to, if he wants as well, go the Toynbee route with itemization and go for the Abyssal Mask. Now that he's against both a Vladimir and a Rise, does open up the ability for Xie to be a super big and potent force running around on Summoner's Rift in game number 2.
So we do have a bit of a change up this time from OMG. We are definitely looking towards team fights. Still with the Shen in there as well to try and do something within the early game. We'll also look towards the Vladimir and whether he picks up the Unsealed Spellbook, which is the expectation. So are you feeling better about this composition now from OMG?
I think OMG have got themselves I'm not going to say better composition, actually. I'm going to say very different in what it's achieving.
Yeah.
A Rise and a Vladimir is super risky. It scales very well. And that means that if your top laner is just trying to scale up and does actually control a lane decently well, don't get me wrong, with Unsealed Spellbook, your mid laner wants to scale up as well into a Kassadin, but it's a Kassadin, so it doesn't really matter. You'll still be fine, especially before level 6. I'd say that OMG have set themselves up well, all things considering, but that's also highlighting WE's draft on the opposite side, which is why they're able to do that.
Sure, and I feel like we find ourselves talking about Team OMG a lot in this matchup, but to be fair, Team WE are for the most part a known quantity. Like outside of Melon now subbing in for this game, we know what they look like. The semi-finals it was, these guys, they good, they know they're good, and then it's a question of will they be able to contend for that #1 spot, you know, now coming into the next bit? Will they actually become the champions of the LPL as well? And that's their question. So it's like looking towards them. If they get the 2-0 here against OMG, fantastic. I mean, that's exactly what you want to see from WE moving forwards, if they can actually take down the likes of RNG, EDG.
Absolutely, and the only plot twist that we've had from Team WE so far is that they've got a melon jungling instead of a human. So, not too sure, but they won game 1, so that's perfectly fine for them, and we hope that that track record continues for Melon in particular. OMG are right, they're not as much of a known quantity as that as Team WE. In saying that, we know what OMG can do. We know what OMG are capable of. We mentioned it at the top of the day that they went to Rift Rivals. They're one of our top 4 teams. And that fall from grace, does it actually stop, or do they continue to rise again as 2018 starts? Whoa.
OMG Zhayo. That's what the crowd is chanting right now. So I think you can tell which side the audience is on.
I have a headset on and that was almost deafening.
It actually was. Went through my microphone into my headset, and then through my ears into my headset. that was intense. Chelly just got licked, it looks like, and he's going to take a trip back.
And I believe we are looking at 5 inspiration trees this time from OMG. On the opposite side, I can't see a single one, and that's disappointing, honestly.
Hey, you don't know. They may have hidden it.
I would say supports are the ones that do hide it by going Cosmic Insight and Futures Market.
Yep.
So I would assume that Tarmkench does have that with Resolve as his primary. So once again, you actually want to have Resolve as your primary when you're playing a tank support, but it's the rest of the map. They could all totally have a stopwatch anywhere. Kassadin loves stopwatch.
It's just insane right now, because if you go Inspiration first tree and you go Resolve second, that's 145 extra health you get at level 1. Like Celestial Body gives you what, an extra 100 and you get damage reduction from that? Like Xiang could just walk up to this guy and be like, well, I'm just going to take it as a trade, it's fine.
Yeah, you get extra health, but you deal 10% less damage, I believe, until about 10 minutes into the game. So that's meant to be the trade-off, and that is a fair trade-off, but if the goal of the person who has that rune is to just clear minions and push waves and keep you pressured, or they're a support, then
just be utility.
It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's just pretty intense, because if you think back to the old system of runes, like, In seals, you'd have, what, maybe 40 up to like 80 extra
Yeah, you
health?
get up to 72 HP, I
Yeah.
believe. And if you went to Quince, you'd get, you know, probably still around the amount that you'd have for this rune.
Yeah.
And that's including a Quince.
And that's excluding what you get from having the combination of 2 trees. So, yeah, I do wonder what actually WE is rocking. So you've got mid lane with the sorcery, jungle with aftershock. So first tree is very standard. I was wondering what second tree is from a lot of these guys. Melon, in with the flash, Arctic Assault. Icon's going to get slowed and stunned down as well. World 6 just a little too late to the party.
And super clean from Melon, so shoutouts to him for that performance with the gank there. The flash Q able to knock them up and saves the flail. Actually is able to change the direction based off the flash of Icon, who has teleport, not cleanse. So he can teleport to lane. He didn't have enough for a tier, so you'll see a second mana crystal coming out of the Rise. And that was as the wave was bouncing back. So Icon was pushed up. He was out of position relative to, you know, if a jungler comes into his lane, he can die and does die in that instance. World 6 was also slow to the punch, but now they want their own opportunity to at least get a flash.
Yeah, at least they'll get the knock up here. Xie, okay, he played it very well. He'll actually just walk it on out. That was a very late flash on that one as well, but he will go back to base. He's got his own teleport, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. And honestly, World 6 had to do that.
Yeah, the end result is vastly different between the ganks respectively from each jungler. One gets the teleport forced and gets a flash out of it. The other one gets an extra 400 gold, as well as all of the above. So still a big win for Team WE, especially when there's a Kassadin getting ever closer to that level 6 point. And a Rise falling behind always feels rough.
Yes, World 6 waiting in the wings, ready for a level 3 tower dive. This is the World 6 that I remember.
Oh, the World 6 I remember was actually already diving him.
That's true, he was already in. Yeah, 3 minutes ago.
Maybe he has matured after all.
Perhaps. Well, he didn't pull the trigger, so you'd have to think so. He's gone back to base, picked up double longswords, so he'll try and get back onto the map and start ganking some of these lanes. Maybe Melon's the one to actually take the initiative here and double down on some of these lanes. Don't have summoner spells.
He was playing Jarvan in game number 1, and he looked like he didn't really contribute to the map an extremely large amount. He just slowed the game down and was diving well when he got to the mid-game and late-game skirmishes and fights. But this time around, starting with a kill, having an experience advantage and even a buff there over World 6, still opts towards the side of caution. Doesn't want to be aggressive.
It's only just because of how mid lane's going. The fact that Icon has a minion wave pushing, he's able to respond first. This is probably why Melon didn't jump in there. Because if I'm Sejuani, I absolutely jump on the Jarvan's face there. But World 6 still trying to contest.
Yeah, a big difference as well being that Melon's gone towards the wards, where there are longswords for World 6. So with a flag getting rid of the Sejuani passive, Jarvan could still probably fight him. And it's just a risk that is unnecessary. As you mentioned, the minion wave pushing, that's very much a big deal. This mid lane has never really just reset. It's constantly bouncing back and forth, stacking up big waves, which means the jungler's role in this map gets harder and then easier, and then harder than easier, and it constantly just rotates back and forth.
Spot lane is taking a fair beating on the side of OMG. They've got a pretty big minion advantage as well from WE as they're continuing to pressure underneath the tower. And that's been without jungle intervention, so that's just a straight 2-on-2.
Yeah, a lot of Shen lanes revolve around can Shen hit the taunt and actually start the lane off with a success. Ezreal poke always has to contribute a factor to that as well, but Kalista Tahm should have control of the bottom lane, should actually have control of the 2v2, unless there is a good move from the opponents of OMG, and seemingly there hasn't been.
Right now, Chelly has many sly sacks of gold. Do you typically just cash those in, or do you go back and sell them?
If memory serves, you click them and there's a chance you get more gold, right? Than
Correct.
if you sell them for a flat amount. You always, you always click them.
I mean, the average is, I believe, 75 if you click it, and if you sell it to shop, it's 65. So over time,
Then
if you
that
just
makes
click it.
so much sense to just click it and never sell it.
I mean, if you don't want the RNG and potentially get 10 gold, right?
Yeah.
That's boring. You're playing a video game.
is
You
the
might as well just
LPL
click it, you know
pulse.
what I mean?
We don't just sell them.
There
at
we
the
go.
shop.
He's found them. He's got one. I don't know how much he's getting. Come on, click the final one.
I couldn't tell.
He hasn't clicked it yet.
Oh wait, that was a I've been bamboozled.
Fiver's getting wrecked, though. He'll have to take a trip back to base, surely. He's got unsealed spellbox, so he might actually take teleport at this point in time.
Yeah, he's actually likely to take teleport and come back to lane as he's level 5. Doesn't want to have to waste any ultimates when he was 6 either way, so
And this isn't just because I'm curious, Rusty, but you should actually click that, because if he starts landing more Qs, then his consumables just auto-use themselves. So he should actually just use the sack of gold.
I mean, if he ever gets another sack of gold now, it just goes into the same slot at the moment.
Correct.
Yeah, so the concern is if he gets some kind of potion or mana potion and he's full in those resources, then it's a waste. I agree with you. Which is very
also,
nitpicky.
I want to know.
We are nitpicking.
We are. That's literally because I want to know what's in the sack. We've got second buffs now spawning. Icon's going to get his. Surely Caston's going to do the same as soon as his spawns as well. This could be a roam towards the top side, though. They have been warded out, it looks like, from either 957 or Melon.
Yeah, timing-wise, it's always clever and creative to go from getting the blue buff towards the top lane, so good vision from WE is able to completely thwart that and prevent it from happening. And now WE responding, of course, by having that vision. Wanted to pressure away Rise.
Teleport. Icon's going to jump right on top of him with the Realm Warp. Dropships right on top of Melon, though.
Level 5.
He's kind of walking away on all fours. Melon should be going down. Oh, into the belly of Ben. He gets out of there. World 6 following after, and Shie towards his mana pool, but he doesn't even use his flash or his ultimate. He's good to go.
Tahm Kench in the perfect place at the perfect time. 2 summoners gone from the support of Team WE, however, and the Guardian was a contributing factor to why Melon is able to stay alive and keep some health about him if there was a red buff ticking inside the belly. Tahm Kench's Guardian actually goes off while he's inside the belly if he's taking damage.
Really?
Yeah, Shen's ultimate also procs Guardian, which is why it's such a strong keystone to have. Yet, we're only ever seeing unsealed spellbooks.
I know that because I accidentally took that top lane once, and it was like, man, that is a big shield coming out from the ultimate. And it does feel fantastic. But it only happens like once every, blue moon.
Hey, it still feels fantastic.
It does when it happens.
World 6 has no flag here, so he has to wait a few seconds, and that's unfortunate because it's going to crash. So if they want 957, they're going to have to earn it through a dive. 5 isn't level 6.
It's either a dive or I go Krugs and then wait for the next minion wave, but this isn't even poke right now. 957, maybe while he's still in mini form. World 6, oh, now he's aggressing. This is the perfect time. Hop and jumps away. World 6 actually just kind of mistimes that.
I don't really think there was ever a chance.
I don't actually think there was a time, to be fair, but
of all the times he took, that was one of the many bad times, but it also wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Icon doesn't have any presence in mid lane. She is teleporting. That top lane gank felt very awkward, as here they go.
Cheese it, Icon. I don't think he's making it out alive on this. Oh!
No, he's still very close.
Oh, no, that's not the one. That's not where you want to go. Icon chose the wrong direction. Of all the places he could have chose, that was probably not the direction.
A level 6 Rise doesn't have the longest ultimate distance that he can throw it. He just picked a direction and zoned you straight away so that no one could cancel him. And maybe it wasn't ideal.
But they could still see it, Rusty.
The concern now for Icon is that he doesn't have the stopwatch anymore. So next time he tries to ult somewhere, they can cancel him without fail. Good roam from Team WE from the bottom lane duo, bringing up Ben and Mystic to get that kill.
There was a good chance maybe he thought his bot lane was roaming. It was just like instinctual things like, I need to get towards the rest of my team instead of jumping over terrain. So it could have been some of the thought process there. But I will highlight, this is another game now where Icon is 0-2 and he's not having a great time in the mid lane.
And you look at the gold difference, it's 1,000, but it feels like WE have more control, more of a lead than exactly that. And we mentioned it last game, that stems from vision partly. They spotted them at the blue buff. They were trading at the blue buff and WE get out alive. Now look at the vision they have at the enemy red buff as they stretch deeper and deeper into OMG's base and try and completely bleed them out of everything that they own. It's slow, but it's super effective from Team WE.
And I do ask the question now because I think it's relevant that WE, or rather OMG, how do they come back? Because you'd be like, oh, well, they're only 1,000 gold behind, but this is what last game looked like, and this is also how Team WE win their games, so what does OMG need to do right now?
Well, Xiang's looking for a play first,
This is potentially it, but the Flying Dragon misses. 957, I think, accidentally dodges it. He's about to be out of Mega Form soon, though he gets the lockdown. He's got the rest of the team closing in, and it's actually a skirmish in the river. Melon hasn't been CC just yet.
Nope. It's not a journey you want to take, anyone.
Noping the heck out of that one.
They back up. OMG, I mean, to answer your question on how do they scale, how do they win this game, I would say it's Xiang, and I would say that Icon needs to get an item spike because they should be fighting around positions where they have power, and an Abyssal Mask is a very big power point for any kind of 2v2 or 3v3 skirmish. I would actually bring Xiang to the Rise, though, to try and make that play. bringing Ryze and Jarvan up to Gnar works only when he's in mini form, but you also have the Shen ultimate to do the exact same thing. So OMG, 5-man play, some kind of team-based rotation or movement. There's a Drake that's available, Rift Herald's available. They could make those moves.
Holy moly. World 6 actually just has a tent in top lane. It's like, why are you still here? He's about to go Mega. World 6.
He's Mega, so they can't kill him.
Nope, see ya. This is what, the third, fourth gank now?
I really, at this point, you have to wonder what World 6 and OMG are thinking. Is Xiang saying, come and clear my wave so I can recall? Evidently not. He is still farming the wave. What is World 6 trying to achieve by being in this top lane? It's not stopping Gnar from farming.
I reckon his solo queue instincts have just kicked in. It's just like, well, mid lane's losing, bot lane's losing. I'm going to go top lane. This one's kind of winning or even.
He wants to make a winning lane out of some lane, but he is getting further behind by trying to do it. The CS difference, you can see it now between junglers. The experience difference is also there between junglers by quite a significant margin as well. It's not just one level. World 6 just ticked over to level 7. Like, he is behind the duo lane down in bottom here.
It's getting to the point where he's making so many failed ganks that if he gets one, then yes, it's good, but he's still at a net deficit from where he would have originally been if he just farmed the jungle.
Yeah, like the thing is, we mentioned item spikes, and WE have item spikes already where OMG don't. They could actually make a play anywhere they want on the map with Xie teleport about a minute and a bit away. The onus is on OMG to try and make plays, but the ball's in WE's court and they can do as they please with it.
Yeah, they're pretty much just standing in front of the ball and saying, come and get it. And OMG are just waiting for an opportunity. Of course, you would look towards the dragon at this point, but it's Ocean, so neither team super aggro on it. Well, 60 discovered another lane. And he's actually not going to go in this because they've gone a little too early, and now there's going to be actually a kill on top of the Shen. Spat back out. Perfect timing, but 5. I don't know what that flash was about because he instantly goes down to Mystic. In comes the throw. Well, 6 again with his own stopwatch.
And WE just play it safely because the rest of the team is starting to make their way. Melon's nearby. The pressure on the turret is always going to be available. OMG, bring World 6 down and then walk away and lose a 2v3.
Flag drag knocks up the Melon, and he's locked in place. Chelly comes out for the kill on Melon. Too long in enemy territory. The bot lane was already gone.
Look, I told you he was aptly named, Pulse. He has got his moments. He's a new jungler on the team of WE, and he's starting to taint the score just a little bit. It's not a significant death, honestly, for anybody here, but it's nice for OMG to get that momentum, and it goes over to Icon, who can recall now, and he can get himself that Abyssal Mask and perhaps power up the Ryze a bit more.
Yeah, if you want it on anyone, you really want it on Icon, because he's had some abysmal laning phases, not just in the 1v1. Fair, like game 1 was also the Zoe problem, but I mean, even so, you look at the scoreline and the sample size started growing, right? And as you were saying in game 1, like, we look towards Icon, we're like, this guy should be the carry now of the team. SMLZ, like, he was the second prong of the assault, and then you look towards Chen and you're like, well, this guy's still leveling up on the team.
Yeah, and even in the draft in this game, specifically for why Icon is important, is if he is behind and he's not able to get close to Mystic on the Kalista, then it's almost impossible to lock Kalista down. Maokai was banned from Team WE, so they try and get rid of the things that have lock, just targetable CC. Ryze is pretty much the only thing that is present on the Rift for OMG that is target CC, that will lock Mystic down on the Kalista and not let him do exactly what he's doing now.
So he's just dancing around the bottom lane, harassing Chelly whenever he wants. Bot lane's going to fall, and this will be the first tower as well. Probably 4 gold going over to Mystic, 650 gold in the bank for him.
It's just so strong now on the Kalista, and I mean, you feel it from that last engage where World 6 went down bottom. The fact that they turn it around, it's just a sign in the back of your mind if you're OMG that, like, damn, can we even do anything to them anymore?
I mean, what do you do about the Kalista? Because you look towards OMG and it's just like, excellent. You even shouted that out in Champions League, like Icon. He's able to just place the Rune Prison on top of Kalista when she's hopping around. Cataclysm going to be a great tool as well. But Mystic, he's already got the QSS.
Yeah. He's also running over heal as Rift Herald. No, actually, never mind.
No, we're out.
You don't want that Rift Herald anymore either, because Xie is trying to find Icon, and Icon brought them to you.
I actually find it hilarious how far Herald follows you. Like, if you run in a straight line, Herald will literally follow you to a lane. Keen.
It is fantastic. He is excited every time someone comes near him.
True. Flag, drag, got the taunt down on top of Ben as well, but in comes WE to try and salvage the situation or do more than that. Almost a kill down to World 6. Melon, he's low, he could be another casualty, but it will be a 1-for-1 trade on the junglers. Didn't even catch how World 6 died.
Yes, Xie on the backside's actually able to lock down the jungler of OMG, and that was pretty much a 5-man affair. They all run there, they all try and get a pick, and it's Melon again that goes down, but he's a tank, and it takes so long to kill him. The WE just turn it around and start trading as Xie. He's going aggressive.
She is going deep here. Ben's also on the backside. But Gobble Up actually is mid lane. I think he may have wanted 5 on that.
No, it was close to the timing of another Rift Walk, so Xie was probably going to look aggressive, and Ben says, not today, sir. We're actually going to back away.
He's actually
Calm
just
down.
restraining him. It's like, calm down, Tiger.
One of the strengths of Tahm Kenshin solo queue, of course, is that you can control the people that you can't talk to.
That's why you play so much Tahm Kenshin Bard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you actually just stop the actions of your teammates.
And enemies. When you place a magical journey, everyone's excited by the prospect of taking it.
True. This will get himself a red buff as well, 17 minutes. He'll meet it with 957, so it looks like top side is probably going to be the objective now from WE. Which makes sense, mid lane's going to take a fair while to actually knock down.
Yeah, Xie is playing this one out like he does want to recall. I would imagine he has a bit of money that he wants to spend, or at least get some extra control wards. He's recalling now. And that means the WE can't continue the pressure that they were looking at just then around the blue buff. So back away. This time Melon backs away on time and doesn't get himself caught out of position. And everything will start to, I'm going to say slow down, but I mean that, take it with a grain of salt, because WE is still in complete control. You're looking for OMG to explode it, and that's not possible as WE try and play this one out slowly and properly.
When was the last time you saw OMG make a proactive play? Like, the most proactive play I've seen this game was them just pushing up mid lane and trying to take it. Like, it's all just been about WE, and there they have control, but at some point you need to break it open.
To add context to what you mean as well, they've made proactive moves, like when they went into the enemy jungle, they've caught Melon out a couple of times. Like, that feels proactive, but how many of them have been for an objective besides a kill? That's what we saw in game number 1 as well. OMG would get a kill, and you're like, fantastic. And then they recall, and it's no longer fantastic. Same thing applies in this game. They killed Melon. They killed Melon again.
Now
but
what?
WE get the objective.
Yeah. Where's step 2? Where's the follow-up? You throw out the first punch, and then they just kind of chill with it, and it's like, excellent, we've got a kill onto Icon. We're going to scale. And at some point, that's going to stop mattering, because you got Xie. Mystic's already big. He's going to beat you in a mid-game team fight anyways.
Now WE starts to make plays and be proactive as a result.
Yeah. Top lane's going to fall unless 5 decides to go on this one, but there's a 2 versus 3 until the cavalry arrives, which, to be fair, is just behind them. Venom will get the old Devour, and top tower will fall. World 6. Nice ultimate from Melon, actually just locking him down before he can actually engage on top of Mystic.
Oh, now they
while
want it.
Devour's down, going to shoot out the Tahm Kench onto the jungle, and World 6 try to crawl away with a Cataclysm.
There's just so much gap closing and crowd control there with the Kalista and with the Kassadin going forwards, being aggressive. Rift Herald's there and about to get summoned, and suddenly the pressure from WE continues to grow.
The fact that Mystic is able to be a frontliner here because Ben's able to eat him up whenever he needs him. Shelly take a pierce for his troubles. Top tower just eats a Herald.
Where you
Icon,
going?
hello. Rotating to the mid lane for the fast rotation, but that almost...
It's a risky rotation.
Yeah, that was almost them being pincered, turning into a sandwich, but Icon will get to the minion wave, will clear it on out. And at the very least, WE won't just instantly collapse into the mid lane and take their mid tower, but OMG, they're constantly just having to be reactive.
They will clear this wave. I feel like OMG have been able to hold this structure. They've got no mana right now, however, so back to base for them. The Herald from WE wasn't quite a success. It was actually more of a distraction because they realized that they wanted the mid lane outer as it was being summoned. So Melon, perhaps with a bit of a miscommunication with his team, shockingly, doesn't do the correct move at that time, unfortunately. But yet, OMG, they react well. They were just a hair away from dying for it, however, in that situation. But we are seeing moves from them, at least, to try and prevent. It's all preventative. It's all defensive. The opposite of what we want still.
Rusty, if you were in this situation right now, and say you were the OMG's jungle, or even just anyone at OMG, and you saw that Melon is this sub coming into this roster, of course, doesn't have much playtime with the team, would you be like, we need to exploit Melon as much as we can? We need to go into his jungle, we need to invade whenever we can, every opportunity, or we just play it out like how they are right now?
It feels more philosophical than that, which is weird to say as an answer to you, but you could camp Melon, you could go and gank Melon, but he's the new member of the team, so making him uncomfortable is good. but then you're not making the rest of the team uncomfortable, which is a known quantity of good. Xie just destroys, Xiang just gets destroyed by Xie. What I would do is I would gank lanes aggressively where the jungler should be at jungle timings and try and cause an uncomfortable skirmish, like an uncomfortable 2v2, or misposition them on the map, confuse the jungler who is newer to the roster, and see how he adapts, test his abilities.
Because the reason I asked that is because so far, like, yes, they've gotten, you know, a decent amount of kills onto Melons. Again, we see the mid laners duking it out. Is that generally the kills have been maybe in like shallow areas, Melon overextending, he's just like in the wrong place at the wrong time. But so far, it's not been something that they've been exploiting, in the sense that, as you said, being able to create those skirmishes, at least putting WE in an uncomfortable situation. So it's almost like WE have, you know, just chink in the armor, and they're just like, you know what, it's fine. Like, you just carry on.
They can just cover it up with better armor on everywhere else on the body, it seems, and a giant sword in front of the weakness. That is currently Mystic in this game. Xie also having a fantastic set so far, so a lot of this compensatory. And if this is how WE is going to play with a jungler like Melon available, it makes you wonder when Condi comes back,
what they look like,
how good WE will be as a result. Yeah.
And this is exactly what we're looking towards through this split as well, is what are WE now the best team? Will they be able to challenge, you know, the top teams? Or will it just be another EDG Spring Split in which they win? Like, that's a great question to ask, especially as they look towards OMG, and if they get the 2-0, which we haven't spoken much about WE because we haven't needed to, but they've just played a classic WE game.
It just makes this a very solid start to the split for them, and this is what you want to see from Team WE, the slow reserve play with solid patches of aggression here and there, and taking those fights and being aggressive at the correct moments. And
I feel you describe like a weather
doing.
forecast. It's like, you know, patches of aggression here and there. We've got a southeasterly wind.
Chance of rain.
Chance of Mystic going off.
Cloudy with a chance of popping off Cassidons.
That's pretty much what this has been.
It's raining melons as well for OMG.
It is raining melons. Many of them are hitting OMG in the head. And eventually this mid tower is going to fall.
Yeah, that's the next step for WE, and I guess that's something that we should actually take a second to talk about as well. The mid lane outer has to fall so that they're completely unlocked. They've got a teleport Cassidon, they've got 1-3-1 as a very real capability. Xiang cannot fight Cassidon. It has to be Ryze that matches the 1v1. So there is very easy scenarios where you place 1-3-1s in uncomfortable spots for OMG to force control of the map in your favor. OMG obviously are aware of this fact, and they don't want the 1-3-1 to start, they want it to stop before it starts.
She is level 15 right now. That's a level 11 and a level 14.
Something's up.
He knows it.
He doesn't know exactly what is up, but something is up.
Now he's actually going to the minion wave icon. Not in range for the Rune Prison, nor the follow-up from World 6, and all that time essentially wasted from OMG.
World 6 didn't even try. This has been really disappointing so far from the Jarvan of OMG. My expectations were needlessly high. I will be the first to admit that. But he hasn't really done anything. In fact, he is 0-2-2. They still want Xie. Let's see how he goes.
Is a big fan of these repeat ganks. Here comes the Riftwalk, the knock-up, the Cataclysm as well. Xie, another Riftwalk coming in. Icon should be able to get a range on this one. Forced the flash from Xie. But all of that time was just for a flash.
And WE walks straight over to the Baron buff like, alright, you want to continue to gank our bottom lane Cassidon who has teleport? We'll just start off the major objective. Kalista doesn't lose health, Sejuani doesn't lose health. Na does it very quickly with compliments of a Blade of the Ruined King from Kalista too.
I mean, OMG, they've got to get in there right now. They know it's happening, but they didn't particularly beeline it towards the Baron. Kalista gets a free Ren, and now they turn onto OMG as well. Great knockup from World 6, but the jungler flashes away. Meanwhile, World 6 has got a bunch of Ren stacks in him. Chelly goes down to Xie, who's just bobbing and weaving through the fight. He's going to get another kill onto World 6. And now it's Cassidon time, ladies and gentlemen. 5 getting caught out as well. There's the triple kill. Icon under the tower. Make it the quadra kill.
Easy 4 kills for the mid laner of Team WE. Now he's going to tick over to 16. Everything just goes sunshine and rainbows for the team with Baron buff running it down the middle lane right now. And they continue past that mid lane outer. They're going to push down the base. What are OMG meant to do in response to this? They desperately looked at a fight. No fight to be seen.
Nothing, Rusty. Absolutely nothing. 2 towers fall, 5 members on the side of OMG and WE. They'll just back it up. I mean, there's nothing to take. They've already taken the Baron, so we'll just go back to base, get ready to rumble once more. and we'll see that team fight as it unfolds.
And this is the person that you're going to have to look at. Xie zones very well. 957 has been crowd controlling pretty much everybody the entire time. He's locked them down, but no one can escape a Kassadin. Once again, presence of mind. Important summoner spell. Xie's gone into precision in his secondary tree. Look at his mana bar, and look at the lack of mana that is going down currently because he gets resets. He's the modern day version of AP Tristana.
True. Very, very true.
Destroys everybody.
That's absolutely absurd. And he ends the team fight with full mana as well, because that's casting with presence of mind in team fights. Holy moly, WE have just broken the game wide open. Already they had control, but that's the one moment that you would look at this game and be like, this is probably where OMG, if they do lose this game, lost this game.
And I know you might be wondering, how did WE find the opportunity to just do a Baron for free and win a team fight? Well, World 6 wanted to gank bottom lane. And then he decided, you know what? Yeah, once isn't enough. I'm going to gank bottom lane again. And they gave the opportunity to WE. The opportunity was there. It was a glaring, gaping hole. And they just took it. And it was easy.
And that's been the problem with World 6, because I think he gets locked into his... He's hardwired, right? He's got programming and he does it every single time. Like, he went top lane, didn't work, or gank again. And he went there 4 times in the early game. Didn't work bot lane, no worries. We'll go for another one. And that's just what World 6 does.
Strategically, it's not bad, right, Pulse? If you're playing a game and someone flashes, go back to that lane and punish them for not having flash. But they didn't even get a flash the first time. He just ulted away. And then they got a flash the second time, but WE got a Baron buff. So whilst the ideas are there from World 6, whilst it feels like what he's doing is acceptable, it's not in the broader sense of they're against a good team who will punish them.
Yeah. He is the broken record in the jungle. And sometimes it works out because you get the kill, you get the tower, fantastic, you snowballed the game. But against a good team like WE, they know you're coming back, World 6. They're going to play defensively.
World 6 screams, "Witness me," as he spray paints his face and runs back bottom lane a second time.
Exactly. And now the mid tower will be falling to WE, and this looks a whole lot like last game. As where did the AD carry go? Chelly falls, as does World 6. Mid inhibitor about to fall on top of that. And I think WE might just win the game right here.
They're just going to keep on pushing down the middle lane. OMG have to try and clear the wave, but it's very hard to do. Mystic, he wants to end.
Melon, he's leading the charge, and that was a big force pulse. First kill goes over to Mystic, second one as well, and Xiang, last one on the spawn pad, gets all of his health back via Hemo Plague, but his entire team, unfortunately, he can't get that one back. Second Nexus turret falls, and Mystic, he's going in. Go on, tank the Nexus turret for me, Ben, get in there, I want this final kill. Nexus will fall, and Team WE, a 2-0 dominant win over OMG.
And dominant is the way to describe this set, Pulse. At no moment did it look like Team WE were going to lose. OMG absolute control of nothing in that set. Not even a single moment did it feel like OMG had something. They got a kill, and then they would get another single kill. W would take the objective and everything they own. Very clean stuff for the first set of Team W in 2018.
I want to say World 6, and WE will just marching over, get those handshakes, and take their well-deserved bow in just a second, because that's the WE we wanted to see, essentially. They didn't have to try very hard for it, which is my only qualm about this set, but, I mean, hey, if the gameplay is as tight as that, and we see Condi come back into the team as well, we'll see what they look like further down the line against some of the other top teams.
They did all of that with a fruit in the jungle as well, so it's very impressive stuff from this side, and a well-deserved bow for Melon in particular, as he gets the team fighting award from me, but not so much the single-man jungling award. He was out of position a little bit there, and did show some signs of being a rookie coming. And he's known as a Gragas player, so a bit uncomfortable with Gragas not being in meta. He's a famous streamer. Now he gets to stretch his wings and try his hand on the big stage.
But he did it when it counts, right? Because if you're a Sejuani, you want to make it happen in those team fights. And if he's good in the team fights, then hey, you did a good job. And when you're surrounded by a team like WE who have the synergy that a team like this in this day and age has, then that's all you need to be. You don't necessarily have to be going balls to the wall constantly. You don't have to show off your Lee Sin and how good that one is. You just need to be there in the team fights, and that's exactly what he did. Team WE take the win.
Yeah, pretty spot on. The way that this played out is he just needed to not be a liability, not be the reason that they lost the set, and you'd be successful.
Yeah. However, welcome, Raz. Hello. You're on the desk now. How you going?
I'm doing well. I mean, that was a pretty calm, collected WE, even without Condi. That's, you already mentioned it. Talked about Melon kind of joining the first game competitively, and it looked good for him because his one-track mind was the mid lane, and I think that was a great choice.
Yep, 100%. We can take a look at the stats. Very, very similar goal graph to game one. Almost identical, in fact.
Yep. And that's where I think Raz is correct. He said the word calm. And that actually, I felt like I was David Attenborough watching that game, honestly. It just felt all too simple, rudimentary, like playing basic League of Legends. They got a lead, and then bam, there's your spike at 25 minutes.
Yeah, and honestly, it felt like it started just because the mid lane was just a focal point throughout the entire series. It started in game one, or at least we saw what happened, how hard it was for Icon to kind of get back into it. And then game two, it felt like the same story because Sejuani started red side jungle. We don't get to see that a lot from any jungler, honestly. And then he found himself getting into the mid lane from the bot side, which really caught Icon off guard, gets a free kill. So immediately it just feels difficult from there because Cassidy got a kill for himself. And then I felt like from that point forward, Melon had a very strong control, kind of linking the mid lane's new strength towards the bottom lane.
And while that was identified, Icon, I feel like, was a problem in that game for OMG. I mean, nothing really happened around the mid lane. Game one, they leave the Zoe open. He plays the Azir. He gets wrecked. Okay, but then you move into game two, and you're like, okay, no, Icon, how are you going to come back? What are you going to do in the second game? Where's the roaming going to happen from this rise?
And the thing with Icon, though, that is important is I don't think he played exceptionally. Like, don't get me wrong, Icon was okay. He did his role, he was okay. Even in the Azir game in game number one, he was just okay. But it's what he's up against that was the biggest problem. Firstly, Xie was a monster. He was destroying everybody. And then the Sejuani you mentioned, ganks mid lane. In the first game as well, pressure towards the middle lane just from the champion picks. And I feel like a lot of this comes back more fundamentally to not Icon playing bad, to more the team not giving him anything, not setting him up to succeed.
Yeah, Xie will actually take man of the match in this one with his Cassidy, and I have to feel, I wonder what play it was. The one that really nested in this one. Probably the one in the mid lane when he killed everybody and got the quadra kill.
Yeah, you got a lot of kills on that one. And the most hilarious one in that one is you go into the precision tree, you have presence of mind, and you just don't run out of mana once you keep resetting kills. That's beautiful. I just love that from it.
Don't need a Morello's anymore.
Exactly. And just to touch on the earlier talk you were talking about, how was the play going to be made against this team when you have an Abyssal Mask mid laner? How are you going to be able to kill a Cassidy and that's going to be able to get out of that situation? You go towards the bottom side. We saw a bottom lane gank happen. It turned on OMG immediately just because you have a Tahm Kench to deal with. And you know, or at least the Kalista, when she has her stacks being just thrown at you, you either die or it's so hard for OMG to find an opening when they were that far behind.
And they're doing that from draft. And that's the thing. With the Vladimir and Arise in the composition and giving the counter pick to Xie, very much deserved MVP. But he's also allowed to be that MVP by being able to pick Cassidy and build Abyssal Mask and do all of these easier things than it otherwise would be.
Yeah, and it's not like OMG didn't try to make plays because we saw the desperation play on the bottom side of the map. 2v1, try and get the kill onto Cassidy, didn't work, and you lose a Baron from it.
Yeah, but it was just over and over and over again. It was just like, surely this time will be the time that it works. And it was never that time. Well, WE just managed to do it every single time and stop him in his tracks. We are going to take a quick break, guys, but when we get back, we're coming at you with an interview with 957 and Clement. Stay tuned for that.